The time for this debate has expired, honourable members. So we now come to private and local orders of the day, and in front of me I have Te Aroha Flavel's bill. So I call on private and local order of the day number 1.
Mount Maunganui Borough Reclamation and Empowering Act Repeal Bill, third reading.
I call the honourable member Te Aroha Flavel. Tēnā koe, Mr. Flavel.
Tēnā koe, Mr. Speaker. Ka nui te mihi kia koe o tira tātou katoa ai tēnei rā.
Kei te pai ahau.
Ka pai. Ka nui te mihi kia koe. Me huri te tiro ki runga ake nei, kia kōrua ko tai mai e whakakanohi nei te ahotanga o te tāhunu o rangataua, a tēnā kōrua i haramai ai. Hei te rānei, me te ahotanga o ngā mate e kawe hārehia nei e tātou i te rānei, wai ho rātou kia moi ko koutou, ko kōrua e whakakanohi nei a rāua. Tēnā kōrua, hare mai, hare mai, hare mai. Mr. Speaker, I move that the Mount Maunganui Borough Reclamation and Empowering Act Repeal Bill be now read a third time. Mr. Speaker, I want to firstly acknowledge the members around this House who supported the recommendation at Business Committee that the Mount Maunganui Borough Reclamation and Empowering Act Repeal Bill does not require consideration in committee and that it be set down for third reading as permissible under Standing Orders 295. In coming to that decision, this in itself is an important endorsement of the power of community ownership. I want to also point out that from woe to go, Mr. Speaker, this process has been wrapped up in 5 months, which is pretty commendable, and I acknowledge the work, the outstanding work done of the Local Government and Environment Committee in this regard. I thank them very much. Mr. Speaker, this is a bill which represents a significant collaboration between Tauranga City Council working with the relevant iwi to have land that was confiscated returned back to the people. And of course I refer in this case to Ngā Pōtiki who are represented in the gallery this afternoon. I want to also acknowledge those who haven't been able to come down and who may well be listening back home in Tauranga Moana. Mr. Speaker, this legislation will pass through the House today as a significant milestone for the people of Tauranga Moana and particularly Ngā Pōtiki who have borne the insult and the offence of actions taken 40 years ago. The history we've heard through the passage of this bill takes us back to 1975 when the Mount Maunganui Borough Council Reclamation and Empowering Act correct that. Mount Maunganui Borough Reclamation and Empowering Act allowed the Bay of Plenty Harbour Board the authority to transfer authority of part of the seabed of the Mount Maunganui Borough Council, who then used it for sewage and other purposes. I've said in the House also that local leaders of Tauranga Moana at the time were very vocal in their protest and made their concerns very, very apparent. Mr. Speaker, through the submission of Ngā Pōtiki Tamapahore Trust, we learnt about the close relationship that Ngā Pōtiki felt to Te Tāhunu o Rangataua, also known as the Rangataua Estuary. This relationship is expressed through the many rich pepeha, whakatauaki and waiata of the people of the land, the mana whenua, and is demonstrated by the location of the marae in close proximity to the shoreline. It is now, sir, up to this House to see that this bill is passed into law, giving mana and kaitiaki back to mana whenua and influencing greater power sharing with Māori. Mr. Speaker, I want to mention the insights and initiative of Ngā Pōtiki Tamapahore Trust, who entered into the process with 2 key platforms as a part of their long-term and local-term vision. They are committed to doing what they can to support strong, healthy and sustainable Māori communities, and secondly to participate in regional workforce development plan with a view to improving Māori economic status. That vision overlaps with the ambition of the Tauranga City Council, as cited in their whakatauki, rapua te huarahi whānui, hei ara whakapiri i ngā iwi erua i te whakaaro kotahi. Seek the broad highway that will unite the two peoples towards a common goal. I have to say, sir, that the dealings between some Tauranga iwi and the Tauranga District Council has not necessarily always been of a positive flavour, but this, sir, is a sign that the times are moving to change, and indeed the melding of the two visions is an important sign of that. Sir, it's important to note that legislative provisions for Māori involvement at local government level exist to a certain extent. Yet the reality of how local authorities carry out the implicit balancing act required, say by the resource management system, indicates that legislative provision is not in and of itself a sufficient mechanism to protect Māori interests. It needs commitment and it needs common will, and that is what we're seeing with this particular use of, with this particular bill, a unique collaboration between the Tauranga City Council and Ngā Pōtiki a Tamapahore Trust. This bill is the embodiment of that relationship. And I want to just contextualise this bill, Mr. Speaker, in the Tauranga Moana Report, 1886 to 2006, a report on the post-Raupatu claims published by the Waitangi Tribunal in 2010. So in that report, it says, and I quote, "The general provisions of the RMA are treaty compliant. The sting is in the detail. Kaitiakitanga, for example, can be narrowed to those resources where the two cultures have a common mind. Relationships to wāhi tapu can be weighed up against other matters and set aside. The principles of the treaty can be taken into account and then outweighed by other criteria." End of quote. Mr. Speaker, I think that the Waitangi Tribunal has alluded to, what they've alluded to is that local government must do what it can to maximise participation and engagement of relevant Māori groups and representatives. A clear policy agenda on the role of Māori, who may be collectivised as, I suppose, iwi, hapu, whānau or manua whenua, from pre-planning through to the planning and implementation phases of the system, is absolutely essential. The Rena disaster, Mr. Speaker, taught us a number of lessons. There is a certain resilience, I believe, in Aotearoa when our lands are threatened by disaster. People come together for a common cause. Māori played an important part in the clean-up and the recovery of communities following this disaster, and that is a natural reaction because of the close relationship that we have with Papatuanuku and Tangaroa. Within the rohe of Tauranga Moana, Mr. Speaker, we learned particularly that having mana whenua involved in decision-making is a major plus, as we have the resources, the know-how, the people power to make a significant contribution. But it was at the decision-making level that it really counted. So I'm very pleased in this regard to be sponsoring this bill, because I really do believe it is demonstrating an effective example of collaboration that has worked at the local authority level, and we can learn a lot of lessons from that. The Māori Party believes that any growth in the formal recognition of iwi in local decision-making has come about as a result of those particular Māori groups involved having the necessary capability and capacities to maximise their own involvement at that strategic level. So we are mindful that much work and collaboration is needed to implement the required changes for improved Māori involvement at local government. Yet if the foundations are not laid properly, the construction which stands upon these foundations will remain stronger and for much longer. So in the context of our country's natural resources, it's imperative that we do work together now to ensure the health and wealth of those resources into the future. Mr. Speaker, the Mount Maunganui Borough Reclamation and Empowering Act Repeal Bill is establishing a new environment for the relationship based on mutual respect. We are hopeful that in establishing a new legal understanding, this bill will help to strengthen the relationships between Tauranga City Council and Ngā Pōtiki. It also represents the vindication of the many Ngā Pōtiki kaumātua who upheld protection of the ancestral landscape and cultural values, including the late Paraone Rewiti, MP for Eastern Māori, and Wiremu Ohia, Chairman of the Tauranga Māori Executive. Finally, Mr. Speaker, for Ngā Pōtiki, the reclamation of the foreshore and seabed, the existence of the oxidation ponds and the discharge of effluent all represents a failure by the Crown to protect Ngā Pōtiki and the ancestral heritage. In doing so, it protects the pātaka kai, it preserves ancient Ngā Pōtiki urupa, and it upholds the sacred respect that people hold in their wāhi tapu. For all of these reasons, Mr. Speaker, the Māori Party is proud to support the Mount Maunganui Borough Reclamation and Empowering Act Repeal Bill. Can I thank, as I stand, all of those from the Tauranga City Council who led this initiative with Ngā Pōtiki people, as I say, some of whom are in the gallery today. I could mention names, but I fear that I may miss people out who worked in behind the scenes and may not have their names read out. Some are, however, as I say, in the gallery, and I thank them for being here today, coming down from Tauranga Moana. It has been indeed an honour for me to usher this bill through the House, and the Māori Party commends this bill for its passing. Kia ora tātou.
The question is that the